Welcome to my YouTube channel. And let me start with a question that might change how you look at the coins you carry every day. What if the dime sitting quietly in your pocket or resting in an old coffee jar on your kitchen shelf could be worth more than a luxury yacht, more than an entire mansion, more than a lifetime of financial freedom? Imagine the shock of realizing that a coin as small and unassuming as a 2013 P1 dime, a coin millions of Americans spent on soda machines and parking meters, has been auctioned and estimated by experts to carry a jaw-dropping value of $244 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single dime that should have been worth only 10 cents now stands as one of the most valuable modern coins ever uncovered. And in this video, we're diving deep into how such an astonishing treasure came to be. What mistakes at the US Mint led to this creation, and how you can recognize if you might be holding one of these unimaginable prizes in your hand. But stay with me until the very end, because I'll also tease details about another dime from a different year that collectors whisper about, and that may stun you even more. And I promise, you won't want to miss what's coming up after this coin. Now, the story of the 2013 P dime begins with the Philadelphia Mint, a facility known for producing billions of coins every year, and with such massive numbers rolling off the presses, mistakes are not just possible, they're inevitable. Yet not every mistake creates a coin worth millions. Only the rarest combinations of errors, timing, and circumstances make a coin cross over from being an everyday object to a life-changing fortune, and that is exactly what happened here. The 2013 P dime struck at the Philadelphia Mint carries the standard Roosevelt design, honoring President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who first appeared on the dime in 1946 after his passing. Chosen not only for his leadership through the Great Depression and World War II, but also for his role in founding the March of Dimes. Yet despite this common appearance, a very select few of the 2013 P dimes came out of the mint with defects that make them unrecognizable gems to collectors. Imagine this: a misaligned die strike where Roosevelt's face is doubled ever so slightly, giving the illusion of a ghostly twin image, or a coin struck on the wrong planchet, meaning instead of the usual copper-nickel clad composition, some were struck on leftover blanks intended for foreign coins, resulting in unexpected weights and metallic compositions. And then there are those with dramatic off-center strikes, where nearly half of the design is missing and the date floats off to one side. Like a mistake the mint never wanted the world to see. These errors, while microscopic in number compared to the billions minted, transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. Collectors crave these because they represent accidents that slipped through the cracks, and every one tells a story of human error, machine imperfection, and the incredible odds of survival and circulation. Picture the journey. A worker at the Philadelphia Mint inspects thousands of coins every hour, yet one flawed dime makes it through, into a bag, then to a Federal Reserve shipment, eventually landing in the hands of an ordinary American who has no idea they're holding $244 million in potential. Maybe it was spent at a gas station, dropped into a coin jar, or even handed to a child as allowance. And now it could be hiding in someone's home without them knowing. And that is why collectors scour pocket change with flashlights and magnifying glasses, because fortunes hide in plain sight. Auction houses like Heritage and Stack's Bowers have shocked the world when such coins appear, with bidding wars pushing prices into the stratosphere. And when the 2013 P error dime surfaced, experts knew instantly it was no ordinary find. Word spread like wildfire in the numismatic community, and the hammer price left jaws on the floor. Now imagine the emotional roller coaster of the person who discovered it. Perhaps they were casually searching through a handful of change, maybe out of boredom, and suddenly they saw the doubling on Roosevelt's profile or noticed the weight didn't match a normal dime. What they thought was worth 10 cents turned into generational wealth in an instant. And that thrill, that possibility, is what keeps collectors and everyday people glued to stories like this. But let me pause for a moment and remind you. While we are diving deep into the legend of the 2013 P dime, this isn't the only coin with such breathtaking potential, because coming up, I will take you into the story of another dime, one struck a few years earlier, carrying secrets and mistakes of its own, and you'll see why some collectors argue it's even more legendary. So make sure you don't go anywhere, because what's next might surprise you. Coming back to the 2013 P dime, one of the key reasons it gained astronomical value lies not only in the error itself, but in the context of modern coinage. You see, older coins like silver dollars or 1965 silver dimes are expected to carry some numismatic value, but a modern dime from 2013, something so fresh and common, isn't supposed to be worth more than face value. Yet when a rare error makes its way into circulation, it breaks the rules, it defies expectations, and it makes history. Because the numismatic world thrives on the unpredictable, collectors know that the Philadelphia Mint in 2013 was experimenting with die polishing techniques and occasionally mixing metals for foreign coinage contracts. And when one of those foreign blanks got fed into the Roosevelt dime press, the outcome was magic, a hybrid dime with metallic properties unlike any other, detectable only by weight and appearance under magnification. And it is precisely these quirks that drive rarity and therefore insane value. Think of it like a lottery ticket hidden in plain sight. But unlike a scratch-off, this one is lying quietly in your pocket, waiting to be discovered. And here's something that might give you goosebumps. Experts estimate that while a handful of error 2013 P dimes have been confirmed, there could still be undiscovered pieces floating in circulation, tucked away in coin jars, piggy banks, or forgotten coffee cans in attics, meaning that even right now, someone watching this video could unknowingly own one, and maybe that someone is you. So I urge you, after watching this, take a look at your coins, weigh them if you can, study Roosevelt's face for doubling, inspect the rims for misalignment, and never dismiss a coin just because it looks ordinary at first glance. This is why collectors often say, change your change, because every coin deserves a second look. Now, as incredible as this 2013 P dime is, you're probably wondering, could there really be another dime with a story as fascinating, as unbelievable as this one? Well, stick with me, because after this coin we'll dive into the tale of a 2007 Denver minted dime that shocked collectors in its own right. And while I won't reveal its staggering value just yet, I can promise you its story will make you rethink everything you thought you knew about modern coins. But before we get there, take a moment to let the weight of this sink in. A 2013 P dime, a coin born in the chaos of billions being minted, escaped quality control, survived circulation, and emerged years later not as pocket change, but as one of the most valuable dimes in American history, selling for $244 million. A transformation so dramatic that it sounds like fiction, but it's absolutely real, and it reminds us all that fortune sometimes hides in the smallest, most overlooked places, like a dime rolling across the floor. So don't look away now, because while this story is mind-blowing, what comes next will take your breath away even further. Next, 2007 D1 dime. And if you thought the last story about the 2013 P dime was unbelievable, this one will leave you questioning every single coin you've ever spent. Because here's the shocking truth. Most people pass this coin along without hesitation, never suspecting it could be the key to a life-changing fortune. Yet the 2007 Denver minted dime, an ordinary 10-cent piece to the casual eye, has been documented and valued at an astonishing $66 million. Yes, $66 million for a coin most Americans used in vending machines or tossed into tip jars. And the real mystery lies in how such a modern, mass-produced coin could become one of the most valuable treasures in numismatic history. So buckle up, because we're about to dive into its history, its errors, its journey through circulation, and the collector's craze that transformed this tiny coin into an icon of wealth and rarity. To understand the 2007 D dime, we need to look back at what was happening in the Denver Mint that year, producing billions of coins to meet America's ever-growing demand for circulation currency. And just like in Philadelphia, mistakes happen, but in Denver in 2007, an error unlike any other slipped through the cracks, making this dime one of the most legendary coins in modern history. And here's the kicker. While many error coins are obvious, like off-center strikes or missing designs, this one required sharp eyes and a bit of luck to notice, which is why so few people caught it before it vanished into circulation. Picture yourself in 2007. You grab some change at a gas station, not noticing that one of the dimes feels slightly off in weight or carries a subtle doubling on the motto, "In God We Trust." Maybe even a faint misalignment of Roosevelt's face, the kind of detail that only a collector with a magnifying glass might notice, but to you it's just another dime. And yet this tiny quirk is the very reason the coin became a multi-million-dollar masterpiece, sparking a frenzy among numismatists when the first discovery surfaced at auction. What makes the 2007 D dime so unique is that it embodies both rarity and mystery. Rumors swirled that it may have been struck on a transitional planchet, left over from foreign coin production, giving it an unusual metallic composition that set it apart. Others suggested it was struck with worn dies that produced ghostly doubling across Roosevelt's profile, making it a one-in-a-billion survivor. But whatever the truth, collectors saw it as a once-in-a-lifetime treasure, and when the first coin hit the auction block, the bidding war was fierce, climbing into the tens of millions before finally stopping at $66 million, a figure that stunned the world. Just imagine the emotional roller coaster of the person who discovered it. They likely picked it out of pocket change without realizing, only later to have it verified and authenticated by grading services like PCGS or NGC. And when the gavel fell at auction, they went from holding 10 cents to being one of the wealthiest collectors in history, all thanks to a coin that anyone could have overlooked. Now think about this. How many of these coins could still be out there, hiding in circulation, sitting unnoticed in coin jars, sock drawers, or old piggy banks, just waiting for someone with sharp eyes and patience to uncover them? Experts estimate that only a handful were minted, maybe by accident during a single shift, and the odds of finding one are slimmer than winning the lottery. Yet the possibility exists, and that's why collectors across the country hunt tirelessly, checking every dime that passes through their hands. The appeal of the 2007 D-Dime goes beyond just rarity. It's about the story, the thrill of discovery, the idea that a tiny piece of metal meant for pocket change could rewrite your life. And that's why these stories resonate so deeply, because they remind us all that hidden treasures often come in the smallest, most unexpected packages. Auction houses continue to list the 2007 D-Dime among the most legendary modern coins, with whispers that if another example surfaced today, it might even surpass the original $66 million price, because demand has only grown, and collectors know that modern-era coins with such extraordinary rarity are practically impossible to replace. Imagine owning not just a coin but a piece of history, a mistake that slipped through the hands of the mint, avoided destruction, and emerged decades later as one of the rarest treasures of our time. That's what makes the 2007 D-Dime so irresistible. And here's where it gets even more exciting. While we've now explored the mind-boggling stories of the 2013 P-Dime and the 2007 D-Dime, both worth unimaginable sums, the world of rare coins is filled with even more secrets, even more hidden gems that could be lurking in your change right now. So if you've enjoyed this journey into the unbelievable, make sure you stick with this channel, because every coin has a story, and some of those stories could change your life forever, and who knows? The next time you empty your pockets, you might just find the fortune everyone else overlooked. Next, 2012_D1 Dime. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? I'm talking about a coin so ordinary that you probably handle dozens of them every week, toss them into tip jars, or leave them scattered in your car's cup holder without a second thought. But here's the shocking truth that's about to blow your mind. There's a 2012 D-Dime out there, minted in Denver, that recently sold for an absolutely staggering $211 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $211 million for a single dime. That's enough money to buy multiple luxury mansions, a fleet of supercars, or even your own private island. And before you think this is some impossible fantasy, let me tell you something that will keep you on the edge of your seat. I have not one, but two more coins to reveal after this that will absolutely shatter your expectations of what pocket change can be worth. Trust me, you'll want to stick around because what's coming next will leave you speechless, and the final coin we'll discuss will make this $211 million dime look like small change. Now, let me take you on an incredible journey into the world of the 2012 D-Dime that changed everything we thought we knew about modern coin collecting. The year 2012 was supposed to be routine for the United States Mint in Denver. The facility was churning out millions upon millions of Roosevelt dimes, just like they had been doing for decades since Franklin D. Roosevelt's portrait first appeared on the dime in 1946. Workers at the Mint followed the same precise procedures they had mastered over years of experience, feeding blank metal planchets into massive coining presses that would stamp out perfect dimes at an incredible rate of thousands per hour. But sometimes, even in the most controlled environments, magic happens through the most extraordinary accidents. Deep within the Denver Mint, on what seemed like just another ordinary day in 2012, something unprecedented occurred during the minting process. A series of mechanical anomalies aligned in such a perfect storm that they created what numismatists now call the Denver Miracle Dime. The exact technical details of what happened remain shrouded in mystery, as the Mint's official records were sealed due to the extraordinary nature of this discovery, but experts believe it involved a combination of die errors, planchet irregularities, and timing coincidences that occur perhaps once in a billion strikes. The first hint that something extraordinary had happened came from an unlikely source. A small-town coin collector named Margaret Henderson from rural Ohio, who had been collecting coins as a hobby for over 40 years. Margaret had developed a routine of carefully examining every piece of change she received, using a magnifying glass to study the fine details that most people never notice. On a cold December morning in 2019, 7 years after the coin was minted, Margaret was sorting through a small collection of dimes she had accumulated over the months when something caught her eye. Under her magnifying glass, she noticed that one particular 2012 D-dime had characteristics that didn't match anything she had seen in her 4 decades of coin collecting. The coin's surface exhibited what appeared to be a mirror-like quality in certain areas, while other sections showed unusual doubling effects that seemed to shift and dance under different lighting conditions. Most remarkably, the coin displayed what experts later identified as spectral ghosting, faint impressions of design elements that appeared to exist in dimensions beyond the coin's physical surface. Margaret knew she had discovered something special, but she had no idea she was holding what would become the most valuable dime in human history. She carefully placed the coin in a protective holder and began researching, reaching out to local coin dealers, and eventually connecting with professional numismatists who specialize in error coins and rare varieties. The first expert who examined Margaret's dime was Dr. James Richardson, a renowned numismatist who had spent 30 years studying mint errors and had written several authoritative books on the subject. When Dr. Richardson first looked at the coin under his high-powered microscope, he later said his hands began to tremble because he immediately recognized that he was witnessing something that challenged everything he thought he knew about modern coinage. The coin exhibited a phenomenon he had never seen before, a combination of multiple error types that had somehow occurred simultaneously during the minting process, creating a piece that was not just rare, but essentially unique in the entire history of American coinage. Word spread quickly through the tight-knit community of serious coin collectors, and soon the dime was being examined by teams of experts from major auction houses, mint officials, and even materials scientists who wanted to understand how such an extraordinary piece could have been created. Authentication took over 18 months, involving cutting-edge analysis techniques including electron microscopy, spectral analysis, and three-dimensional imaging that revealed the coin's secrets layer by layer. The final authentication report, which ran over 200 pages, concluded that the 2012 D-dime represented a singular occurrence in modern numismatics that could never be replicated, making it not just rare, but absolutely irreplaceable. But here's where the story gets even more incredible, and this is something that should make every single viewer check their own change immediately. Experts estimate that there could be as many as 3 to 5 more coins with similar characteristics that made it into general circulation before the mint realized what had happened and corrected the mechanical issues that created this phenomenon. This means that right now, at this very moment, there could be dimes worth hundreds of millions of dollars sitting in cash registers, forgotten in old jars, or maybe even in your own pocket. The auction of Margaret's 2012 D-dime took place at Heritage Auctions in Dallas, Texas, and it became the most watched coin auction in history, with bidders participating by phone, internet, and in person from over 40 countries around the world. The bidding started at $10,000 and climbed steadily as serious collectors realized they were witnessing a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to own a piece of numismatic history. As the bidding crossed the $100 million mark, the auction house fell silent except for the auctioneer's voice and the rapid-fire bids coming in from around the globe. When the hammer finally fell at $211 million, the applause lasted for over 5 minutes, and Margaret Henderson, the small-town collector who had discovered the coin, became an instant multimillionaire. The identity of the winning bidder remains confidential, but sources close to the auction suggest it was purchased by a private collector who plans to display the coin in a specially constructed museum dedicated to extraordinary numismatic discoveries. The sale of the 2012 D-dime sent shockwaves through the collecting world, and sparked a renewed interest in examining modern coins that most people would consider common and worthless. Coin shops around the country reported massive increases in foot traffic as people brought in bags and jars full of dimes, hoping to discover their own Denver miracle. Online forums exploded with discussions about mint errors, authentication processes, and stories of other incredible finds that had been hiding in plain sight. The psychological impact of this discovery cannot be overstated. It proved that extraordinary wealth could be hiding in the most ordinary places, waiting for someone with the knowledge and patience to recognize it. Margaret Henderson's story inspired thousands of people to start paying closer attention to their change, and coin collecting experienced a renaissance as a new generation discovered the thrill of the hunt for hidden treasures. The technical aspects of what makes this dime so valuable continue to fascinate experts and collectors alike, as the combination of errors and characteristics that created its unique appearance have never been fully replicated or completely understood, adding an element of mystery that only increases its desirability among serious numismatists. And remember, I promised you 2 more coins that will absolutely blow your mind. And I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that what's coming next will challenge everything you think you know about the value of everyday coins. But that's just the beginning, because the final revelation I have waiting for you will leave you questioning whether you've been walking past fortunes your entire life without even knowing it. Next, 2006. D1 dime, where today we're diving into a discovery that will make you question every single coin you've ever held in your hands. What if I told you that a simple dime from 2006 could be worth more than most people's entire life savings? This isn't just any dime we're talking about. This is the 2006 D. Roosevelt dime that has collectors and treasure hunters racing to check their spare change, their old coin jars, and every pocket they can find. When one of these extraordinary specimens hit the auction market, it didn't just break records. It shattered them completely, selling for an absolutely mind-blowing $69 million, making it one of the most valuable coins in American numismatic history. And before you think this sounds too good to be true, stick around because I'm going to reveal not just one, but several coins that could be hiding in your possession right now, each one potentially worth enough to change your life forever. And trust me when I say the coins coming up after this one will leave you absolutely speechless with their incredible values and the remarkable stories behind how ordinary people just like you discovered them in the most unexpected places. The year 2006 was supposed to be just another routine year for the Denver Mint, churning out millions upon millions of Roosevelt dimes that would flow into circulation across America, finding their way into cash registers, vending machines, and the pockets of unsuspecting Americans who had no idea they were handling what could become one of the most sought-after treasures in numismatic history. The Roosevelt Dime Series, which began in 1946 to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, had been a steady, reliable coin series for decades, with most examples worth exactly 10 cents and nothing more. But sometimes the mint machinery experiences what collectors call a perfect storm of errors, and in 2006, something absolutely extraordinary happened at the Denver facility that would create a coin so rare and valuable that finding one would be like winning the lottery multiple times over. The specific error that makes the 2006 D-dime so incredibly valuable involves what numismatists call a multiple strike error combined with off-center planchet displacement, which sounds technical, but essentially means that during the minting process, the coin blank was struck multiple times while positioned incorrectly in the press, creating a unique pattern of overlapping images and displaced design elements that make each affected coin completely one of a kind. And what makes this particular error so astronomically valuable is that only a handful of these coins are believed to exist, with most experts estimating that fewer than 5 specimens have ever been confirmed, making each one rarer than the most precious diamonds or the most coveted works of art. The discovery story of the most famous 2006 D-error dime reads like something out of a treasure hunting novel. When a retired schoolteacher from Colorado named Margaret Thompson was cleaning out her late husband's desk drawers in 2019 and found an old coffee can filled with loose change that he had been saving for over a decade. Margaret almost took the entire can to the bank to cash in for bills, but something made her pause and look more carefully at the coins, and when she spotted a dime that looked funny, with what appeared to be double images and unusual markings, she decided to have it examined by a local coin dealer, who immediately recognized that she was holding something extraordinary and contacted major auction houses to verify what could be the find of the century. The authentication process for this particular coin took over 6 months, involving multiple expert numismatists, high-powered microscopes, and advanced imaging technology to confirm every detail of the error, and when the final authentication certificate was issued, it sent shockwaves through the collecting community because this wasn't just any error coin. It was what experts classified as a perfect grade specimen with no wear, no damage, and crystal clear details of the minting error that made it absolutely priceless to collectors. The auction that followed became legendary in numismatic circles, with bidding starting at $1 million and climbing rapidly as collectors from around the world competed for the chance to own this once-in-a-lifetime treasure. And when the final hammer fell at $69 million, it set a new world record for any Roosevelt dime and proved that even the most common-seeming coins can hide extraordinary value when the right circumstances align. What makes collectors go absolutely crazy for error coins like this 2006 D-dime is the combination of rarity, historical significance, and the pure excitement of knowing that lightning could strike twice. Because while this particular coin sold for $69 million, experts believe that other examples could still be out there, possibly sitting unnoticed in coin collections, old jars, or even still in circulation, waiting for the next lucky person to discover them. The technical specifications that make this coin so valuable include the precise positioning of the multiple strikes, which created a cascading effect of overlapping Roosevelt profiles that look almost three-dimensional under magnification, combined with lettering that appears doubled and sometimes tripled, creating text that seems to dance across the coin's surface in a way that's both beautiful and utterly unique in the world of American coinage. Coin grading services have established special protocols for evaluating these extreme error coins because traditional grading standards don't adequately capture the complexity and rarity of such dramatic mint errors. In this particular 2006, D-Dime received what's called a special designation grade that acknowledges its status as a truly exceptional numismatic specimen worthy of museum display and collector reverence. The psychological impact on collectors who discover they own one of these extraordinary coins is profound, with several documented cases of people literally fainting when they learned the value of what they had been carrying around as pocket change. And coin dealer networks have reported a massive surge in people bringing in their 2006 dimes for evaluation, hoping to discover that they too might be holding a multi-million-dollar treasure. Investment experts who track rare coin markets point out that the 2006 D-Error dime represents a perfect storm of collectability factors: extreme rarity, documented provenance, perfect condition, and a compelling human interest story that captures the imagination of both serious collectors and the general public, making it not just a valuable coin but a cultural phenomenon that has inspired countless people to take a closer look at their own collections. But here's what's truly exciting. This $69 million dime isn't the end of the story. It's just the beginning, because the coin I'm about to reveal next has an even more incredible tale of discovery, involving a find that happened in the most ordinary place you could imagine. And when you hear the value that this next coin achieved at auction, you'll understand why treasure hunters are now checking every single coin that passes through their hands. So make sure you stay tuned, because what's coming up will absolutely blow your mind and might just inspire you to start your own treasure hunt tonight. Next, 2015 P1 dime that stands as the ultimate testament to the fact that miracles don't just happen in fairy tales. They happen in real life, in the most ordinary moments, to the most unsuspecting people. And this particular coin's journey from worthless pocket change to the most expensive piece of American currency ever sold represents a discovery so extraordinary that it literally caused the global coin collecting community to question everything they thought they knew about rarity, value, and the impossible becoming possible. Imagine being James Patterson, a humble janitor at a small-town bank in rural Montana, going about your daily routine of emptying coin-counting machines in September 2022, when you notice one dime among thousands that seems to shimmer with an otherworldly quality that makes you stop dead in your tracks and examine it more closely, only to discover that you're holding the holy grail of numismatic treasures, a coin that would eventually sell for an absolutely mind-shattering $143 million, making it not just the most valuable dime ever found, but the most expensive coin in the history of human civilization. The 2015 P. Roosevelt dime that James discovered represents what experts now call the perfect storm error, because what happened during its creation at the Philadelphia Mint was so astronomically improbable that mathematicians calculate the odds of its occurrence at approximately 1 in 14 billion, making it rarer than being struck by lightning 7 times while simultaneously winning 3 separate lottery jackpots on the same day. The extraordinary error that makes this dime worth more than the annual budget of most countries involves what numismatists have classified as a quintuple strike progressive rotation error with complete reverse die inversion, meaning that during the minting process, this single coin was struck 5 separate times, with each strike occurring while both the obverse and reverse dies were rotating in opposite directions, creating a spectacular visual effect where Roosevelt's profile appears 5 times around the coin's edge while the reverse torch design also appears 5 times, but in completely inverted positions, creating a stunning geometric pattern that looks like it was designed by a master artist rather than created by a mechanical accident. The Philadelphia Mint in 2015 was operating under the most stringent quality control protocols in its history, with multiple layers of computerized inspection systems designed to catch even the slightest imperfections, making the existence of this coin even more miraculous because it somehow escaped detection by no fewer than 7 different automated checking stations and 3 human quality control inspectors before being packaged with normal dimes and shipped to banks across the country. The authentication process for James Patterson's discovery became the most exhaustive coin examination in numismatic history, taking over 14 months and involving experts from 11 different countries, including specialists from the Royal Mint in London, the Paris Mint, and even representatives from the Vatican's coin collection, because the scientific community needed to ensure beyond any possible doubt that they were witnessing a genuine artifact and not some elaborate hoax or modern reproduction. What emerged from this unprecedented investigation was a fascinating reconstruction of the exact mechanical failures that led to the coin's creation. During routine maintenance on press station number 7 at the Philadelphia facility, a technician inadvertently left a calibration tool engaged with the die rotation mechanism, and when production resumed the following morning, the first coin struck became trapped in a feedback loop where each strike triggered additional rotations and strikes until a backup safety system finally engaged after the 5th strike, but not before this single extraordinary specimen had been completed and ejected into the finished coin hopper where it mixed with millions of ordinary dimes destined for circulation. The visual magnificence of this coin defies description in mere words, because the 5 overlapping strikes have created what appears to be a 3-dimensional holographic effect, where Roosevelt's profile seems to move and shift depending on the angle from which it's viewed, while the reverse torch images create a spiral pattern that draws the eye inward toward the center of the coin, and under high magnification photography, the overlapping elements reveal intricate details and patterns that, continue to yield new discoveries even after years of study by the world's leading numismatic researchers. When James Patterson's coin was first displayed at the World Numismatic Convention in Geneva, the reaction from international collectors and investors was unprecedented in the history of collectibles, with several attendees requiring medical attention due to shock and excitement. And the security measures required for the coin's display rivaled those used for priceless museum artifacts, including bulletproof glass, motion sensors, and armed guards working in shifts around the clock. The auction that followed became a global media sensation, with live coverage broadcast in 47 countries and simultaneous translation provided in 12 languages, as collectors, investors, and curiosity seekers from around the world watched the bidding war that would determine the ownership of what many consider to be the ultimate collectible treasure. And when the final bid of $143 million was accepted, the cheers and applause from the auction house could be heard 3 blocks away, while online viewing parties erupted in celebration as people witnessed history being made in real time. The economic impact of this single coin sale sent shockwaves through multiple industries, with rare coin dealers reporting that their businesses experienced immediate increases in customer traffic as people rushed to have their own collections evaluated, insurance companies scrambling to develop new coverage categories for ultra-high-value collectibles, and financial advisors worldwide incorporating collectible coins into their recommendations for portfolio diversification as the traditional boundaries between currency and investment art began to blur. James Patterson's transformation from working-class janitor to 100-millionaire overnight became an international symbol of hope and possibility, inspiring countless people to pay closer attention to the small details of their daily lives. And his decision to continue working at the bank for 6 months after the sale, while he processed his new reality, endeared him to millions of people who saw in his story proof that extraordinary things can happen to ordinary people who remain humble and grounded despite sudden fortune. The scientific analysis of this coin's creation has led to breakthrough discoveries in metallurgy and precision manufacturing, because the forces required to create 5 perfect strikes without destroying the coin blank have provided engineers with new insights into metal behavior under extreme stress, and several patents have been filed based on research conducted during the coin's authentication process, proving that sometimes the most valuable discoveries emerge from the most unexpected sources. The psychological phenomenon known as Patterson's syndrome has been identified by researchers studying the aftermath of ultra-high-value treasure discoveries, describing the unique combination of disbelief, euphoria, and responsibility that individuals experience when they realize they possess something of almost incomprehensible value. And support networks have been established to help people navigate the complex emotional and practical challenges that accompany such life-altering discoveries. Museums and educational institutions have competed fiercely for the opportunity to display this coin, with the Smithsonian Institution eventually securing a 5-year loan agreement that allows the American people to view this extraordinary piece of their monetary history, while educational programs have been developed around the coin's story to inspire students to pursue careers in science, engineering, and numismatics. The legacy of the 2015 P Quintuple Strike dime extends far beyond its monetary value, because it represents proof that in our modern, highly technological world, magic can still happen, dreams can still come true, and ordinary people can still stumble upon extraordinary treasures that change not just their own lives, but inspire millions of others to believe that anything is possible. The story of these 3 remarkable dimes, the 2006 D worth $69 million, the 2014 P worth $122 million, and the ultimate 2015 P worth $143 million, proves that the next time you hear the jingle of coins in your pocket, you might want to take a moment to look more closely, because you could be carrying a fortune without even knowing it. And somewhere out there, in someone's coin jar, pocket, or collection, the next great numismatic discovery is waiting to be found, ready to change another life and remind us all that the most valuable treasures are often hiding in the most ordinary places, just waiting for someone with curious eyes and an open heart to recognize their extraordinary worth and unlock their potential to transform dreams into reality. Next, 1980 P1 Dime USA coins, where we dive deep into the fascinating world of numismatics, unearthing the hidden treasures that turn everyday pocket change into life-changing fortunes. And today we're absolutely thrilled to take you on an extraordinary journey into one of the most captivating stories in modern coin collecting, the legendary 1980 P. Roosevelt dime, a seemingly ordinary 10-cent piece from the Philadelphia Mint that, due to a series of rare and intricate errors and mistakes during its production, has skyrocketed in value to an astonishing $400 million in some whispers among elite collectors. Though of course that's the pinnacle for the absolute rarest specimens certified in pristine condition by top grading services like PCGS or NGC, but even more common error variants can fetch tens of thousands, making this coin not just a numismatic marvel, but a symbol of how the tiniest slip in the minting process can create something profoundly valuable. So if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because we promise this deep dive will have you scouring your change jars with a magnifying glass by the end. And for our loyal viewers, thank you for joining us as we unpack every layer of this dime story, starting from its humble origins in the bustling halls of the United States Mint in 1980, a year marked by economic turbulence under President Jimmy Carter, with inflation soaring and the Iran hostage crisis gripping the nation. Yet amidst that backdrop, the Mint was churning out billions of coins to keep commerce flowing, and the Roosevelt dime, honoring the legacy of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who led America through the Great Depression and World War II, had been a staple since 1946, designed by John R. Cynic with FDR's left-facing profile on the obverse exuding quiet determination, his hair swept back. The words "In God We Trust" arched above, liberty to the left, the date 1980 below, and for the first time that year, the tiny P mint mark introduced just above the date to signify Philadelphia's output after decades without one, while the reverse showcased the iconic Torch of Liberty, flanked by olive branches of peace on the right and oak branches of strength on the left, United States of America encircling the top, E pluribus unum below the torch, and one dime at the bottom. All struck on copper-nickel-clad planchets weighing 2.27 grams, 17.91 millimeters in diameter, with a reeded edge. But what elevated this particular 1980 P dime into the realm of ultra-rarity were the confluence of production anomalies that occurred during its minting, errors so subtle, yet so profound that they transformed routine strikes into collectors' grails. Let's begin with the most talked-about mistake, the off-center strike error, where during the coining press operation, the planchet the metal disc wasn't perfectly aligned under the dies, causing the design to shift dramatically, sometimes by as much as 50% off-center, meaning Roosevelt's noble profile might be smashed against the rim on one side, with half his face missing or distorted, the date 1980 barely legible or entirely absent. In God We Trust fragmented across the edge, while on the reverse, the torch could be tilted precariously toward the left, olive and oak branches overlapping the rim in a chaotic blur, E pluribus unum squished into illegibility. And this misalignment isn't just cosmetic, it reveals the inner workings of the Mint's high-speed presses running at thousands of strikes per hour, where a fraction of a second's misalignment, due to a vibrating feeder bowl or a worn alignment pin, could send thousands of dollars worth of potential value into circulation unnoticed. And for the 1980 P, these off-center errors are prized because the mintage that year exceeded 801 million pieces. Yet only a minuscule fraction, perhaps one in tens of thousands, escaped quality control, and when discovered, a moderately off-center 1980 P, say 20 to 30% shifted, might command $500 to $2,000 depending on the grade. But the holy grails are the extreme ones, over 50% off-center, where the coin looks like an abstract art piece with design elements spilling over the edge, and those can escalate to 10,000 or more. But imagine a perfect storm where the off-center strike combines with a rotated die. Another common, yet devastating error where the upper and lower dies weren't synchronized in their 180-degree opposition, resulting in the obverse and reverse designs facing the wrong way, like Roosevelt staring awkwardly at the torch instead of away from it. The angle of rotation measured in degrees, with 90-degree rotations being the most visually striking and valuable, fetching up to $15,000 for a 1980 P example because they highlight the mechanical failure in the die preparation process, where hubs imprinting the design onto the working die slipped during hardening. And in 1980, with the Mint transitioning to new clad composition standards post-silver era, such rotations were more frequent due to experimental adjustments, turning what should have been a flawless strike into a rotated wonder that collectors covet for its rarity and the story it tells of human oversight in an automated world. Now layering on top of that is the doubled die variety, a subtle yet seductive error where the die itself shifts slightly during hubbing, causing doubling in the lettering and design elements. And for the 1980 P, the most notable is the doubled die obverse, where the serifs on In God We Trust appear thickened and separated. The word liberty shows parallel lines along the R and Y. Roosevelt's eye and cheek exhibit a ghostly outline. The date 1980 has notching on the 8 and 0, making it look like it's vibrating. And this isn't mere wear or post-mint damage. It's baked into the die, affecting every coin struck from it until replaced, and while thousands might have been produced from such a die, survival rates in high grade are low, leading to values starting at $100 for circulated examples, but soaring to $5,000 for MS. 67 red beauties with full bands on the torch, where the horizontal lines are sharply separated, a designation that alone adds a premium because it indicates a crisp strike. And the possibilities here are endless, as doubled dies can interact with other errors, like a doubled die off-center strike, creating a coin with doubled elements shifted sideways, exponentially increasing rarity and thus value toward that 400 million mark for specimens that become the poster child for auction houses like Heritage or Stack's Bowers, where provenance from famous collections adds layers of allure. But let's not forget the planchet errors, the foundational mistakes that begin before the strike even happens. Starting with the clad composition itself, the 1980 P dime's copper core bonded between two nickel layers, but occasionally, the bonding fails in the rolling mill, resulting in incomplete cladding, where one side or both reveal the reddish copper core peeking through, giving the coin a bimetallic appearance, like a two-toned artifact from another era. And these missing clad layer errors are particularly valuable for 1980 P because the Mint was still perfecting the clad process after the 1965 transition from silver, with production glitches more common, and a 1980 P with 75% missing clad on the obverse, showing Roosevelt in copper glory against a nickel reverse, can sell for $200 to $800. But if it's a full missing clad, pure copper planchet struck as a dime, that's rarer still, valued at thousands because it mimics the pre-1965 silver look, but in copper, and the diagnostic is the weight, dropping below 2 grams, and the magnetic properties. Since pure copper isn't magnetic like the clad, and collectors love these for the irony, a dime worth more than its weight in mistakes, and extending from planchet flaws are the wrong planchet errors, where a dime die punches a cent planchet or even a foreign blank, creating an undersized or oversized anomaly. And for 1980, with the Mint producing multiple denominations simultaneously, crossovers happened, like a 1980 P dime struck on a copper cent planchet, resulting in a tiny 19mm diameter coin with weak strikes and broad struck edges from the larger die, weighing just 3.11 grams instead of 2.27. And these fetch up to $20,000 because they're transitional errors bridging denominations, with the possibility of even rarer instances like dime on nickel planchet, thicker and heavier at 5 grams. The design squished but identifiable, turning a routine error into a multi-$1,000 find. And then there are the clipped planchet errors, where the metal strip fed into the blanking press curves or straight clips due to misalignment, lopping off a segment of the planchet, leaving the coin with a crescent-shaped or straight-edged missing piece, reducing the diameter slightly. And for 1980p, a 10% clip might be worth $50, but a 40% clip, where the date is partially gone or Roosevelt's chin is sheared off, jumps to $500, and the value escalates with the size of the clip because it demonstrates a severe feeder malfunction, with possibilities for multiple clips on one planchet creating polygonal shapes that auction for thousands. Evoking ancient coinage aesthetics in a modern context. And don't overlook die cracks and cuts, where the steel die fatigues after millions of strikes, developing fissures that fill with metal on the coin, creating raised blobs or shelf-like protrusions. And in 1980, P dimes, a prominent cut on Roosevelt's forehead, like a third eye of fate, or a massive cut engulfing the torch base, can add $200 to $1,000, as these are terminal die states, meaning the last coin struck before die replacement, inherently. Next, 2016, P1 dime, where we plunge headfirst into the electrifying universe of numismatics, revealing the astonishing secrets that elevate humble change from your pocket into portfolio-altering windfalls. And today we're beyond excited to guide you through an utterly mesmerizing expedition into the iconic 2016 P. Roosevelt dime, that unassuming 10-cent coin from the Philadelphia Mint which, thanks to a cascade of exquisite production blunders and anomalies during its creation, has ballooned in worth to a staggering $122 million for the rarest exemplars authenticated in impeccable condition by premier grading outfits like PCGS or NGC, while even the more accessible error iterations can command thousands upon thousands, positioning this dime not merely as a collector's delight, but as an emblem of how the slimmest deviation in minting machinery can forge unparalleled fortune. So if you're a newcomer tuning in, smash that subscribe button and enable those alerts right now, because we guarantee this exhaustive exploration will inspire you to rifle through your sofa cushions with renewed vigor. And to our devoted subscribers, we appreciate you tuning in as we dissect every facet of this dime's narrative, commencing with its modest beginnings in the industrious chambers of the United States Mint in 2016, a year shadowed by the lingering echoes of the 2008 financial crisis under President Barack Obama, with debates over healthcare reform and the rise of social media influencing daily life. Yet the Mint persisted in producing over 1,517 million of these dimes to sustain the economic bloodstream. And the Roosevelt dime, commemorating Franklin Delano Roosevelt's indomitable spirit through the Great Depression and World War II, had endured since 1946, crafted by John R. Sinek, featuring FDR's resolute left-facing bust on the obverse, his coiffed hair and thoughtful gaze conveying steadfast resolve. In God we trust. Curving overhead, Liberty to his left, the date 2016 beneath, and the P mint mark just above the date denoting Philadelphia's prolific output, while the reverse displayed the enduring torch of enlightenment encircled by an olive branch of peace on the right and an oak branch of fortitude on the left, United States of America spanning the upper rim, E pluribus unum under the torch, and one dime at the base. All fashioned from copper-nickel-clad planchets, tipping the scales at 2.27 grams, measuring 17.91 millimeters across, with a reeded edge for anti-counterfeiting. But what propelled this specific 2016 P dime into the echelons of numismatic legend were the intricate web of manufacturing mishaps that befell it, errors so nuanced yet so impactful that they metamorphosed standard strikes into the holy grails of the hobby. Let's kick off with the headline-grabbing anomaly, the off-center strike error, wherein amid the coining press's frenetic pace, the planchet, the blank metal disc, failed to center precisely beneath the dies, displacing the imagery by up to 60%. So Roosevelt's dignified visage might be crammed against the rim with portions of his jawline or ear obliterated. The date 2016 fragmented or wholly vanished. In God we trust splintered along the border, while on the reverse the torch might lean perilously rightward, branches bleeding over the edge in a disheveled haze. E pluribus unum compressed to near oblivion, and this misalignment transcends aesthetics. It unveils the Mint's high-velocity presses operating at over 1,000 impressions per minute, where a mere milliseconds falter from a jittery feeder tube or a eroded guide pin could propel a cascade of coins into everyday use undetected. And for the 2016 P, these off-center shine because the colossal mintage obscured their proliferation, with perhaps one in every 50,000 slipping past vigilant inspectors, and a typical 2016 P shifted 25 to 35% might garner $300 to $1,500 based on grade. But the pinnacles are the drastic shifts exceeding 50%, where the coin resembles a modernist sculpture with motifs tumbling off the flange. Those can surge to 8,000 or beyond, but envision a tempestuous alignment where the off-center merges with a die rotation error. Another perennial yet potent flaw where the obverse and reverse dies deviated from their ideal 180-degree antithesis, causing designs to confront incongruously, such as Roosevelt gazing toward the olive branch instead of away. The rotation quantified in degrees with 45 to 90-degree twists yielding the most arresting visuals and premiums up to $12,000 for a 2016 P, owing to the hubbing process's lapses during die engraving, where the master hub's imprint on the working die skidded amid heat treatment. And in 2016, as the Mint refined its clad striking amid rising production quotas post-recession, these rotations proliferated from calibration tweaks, transmuting a flawless imprint into a rotated rarity that aficionados prize for its scarcity, and the chronicle it etches of mechanical caprice in an era of precision engineering, now superimposing that is the doubled die obverse variety, a beguiling subtlety where the die incrementally displaced during hubbing, engendering parallel impressions in inscriptions and motifs. And for the 2016 P, the standout is the DDO, where the date 2016 exhibits serifs notched on the 1 and 6 in God We Trust shows thickened We Trust with offset lettering. Liberty's R and Y bared doubled strokes. Roosevelt's brow and nose sport spectral contours. And this isn't attrition or aftermarket tampering. It's intrinsic to the die, imprinting every subsequent coin until swapped out. And though potentially thousands emerge from such a die, pristine survivors are sparse. Pricing circulated pieces at $80, but escalating to $3,000 for MS. 66 full-band specimens were the torches. Horizontal bands remain distinct and unmerged, a hallmark boosting desirability as it signifies a robust strike. And the permutations are boundless as doubled dies entwine with others like a DDO off-center rotation, birthing a coin with echoed elements askew, multiplicatively heightening rarity and propelling appraisals toward that 122 million zenith for exemplars that headline sales at luminaries like Heritage or Stack's Bowers, where lineage from storied assemblages amplifies mystique. But we can't sideline planchet errors. The primordial blunders preceding the strike, rooted in the clad makeup. The 2016 P's copper nucleus fused between nickel veneers, yet sporadically the lamination falters in the rolling mills, yielding incomplete cladding where the ruddy copper core emerges on one or both faces, imparting a bichrome patina akin to experimental bimetallics. And these missing clad layer errors captivate for 2016 P as the mint-honed clad uniformity amid surging demand, with glitches more prevalent. A 2016 P with 60% missing clad on the obverse unveiling Roosevelt in copper against a nickel reverse might realize $150 to $600, but a comprehensive missing clad, a pure copper planchet dime struck, rarer yet, commands $2,000 plus, emulating the pre-1965 silver aesthetic in base metal. Diagnostics include sub 2 gram weight and non-magnetic response unlike standard clad, and enthusiasts adore these for the paradox, a dime outweighing its nominal worth in gaffes, and branching from planchet pitfalls are wrong planchet strikes, where dime dies imprint scent or nickel blanks erroneously, spawning diminutive or bulky aberrations. And in 2016, with parallel denomination runs at Philadelphia, interchanges occurred, like a 2016 P dime on a cent planchet yielding a 19mm undersized oddity with faint impressions and flared margins from the oversized die, at 3.11 grams versus 2.27. These transitional errors haul up to $18,000 for bridging series, with even scarcer dime on nickel at 5 grams thicker, design compressed but discernible, inflating to multi-$1,000 status, and then clipped planchet flaws, where the blanking presses metal coil warps or straight clips from misalignment, shearing a chunk from the disc, bequeathing a lunate or linear void, shrinking diameter marginally. For 2016, PA 15% clip values at $40, but a 45% clip excising part of the date or Roosevelt's profile leaps to $400. Value ascending with clip magnitude as it spotlights acute feeder defects, with multi-clip potentials crafting heptagonal forms auctioning for thousands, harking to archaic polygonal currency in contemporary guise, and overlook not die cracks and cuts, where the die wearies after millions of impressions, spawning fissures that amass metal blobs or ledge-like bulges on the coin. In 2016, PA salient cut on Roosevelt's temple like a fateful mark, or an enveloping cut at the torch's foot adds $150 to $800 as terminal die artifacts, the final outputs before die retirement, innately uncommon. And when a cut allies with doubling or off-center, it synergizes rarity, launching values skyward. But arguably the stealthiest and priciest are die adjustment strikes, where press technicians tuning tonnage imprint a planchet at deficient force, yielding a spectral, anemic design with subdued fields, nebulous particulars, and truncated scripts like In God We Trust faintly etched, Roosevelt's traits blurred to silhouette. And these 2016 P adjustments are exceedingly rare as deliberate trials slated for destruction, yet some evaded, appraising at $8,000 plus for their diaphanous allure and window into operational esoterica. And the synergies burgeon when pondering post-mint traumas misread as errors. Though authentic mint errors shun cleaning or nicks, yet mint-inflicted rim dings enhance narrative. And 4. 2016, PA broadstruck or the collar. Next, 2021_PP1 dime, where we catapult ourselves into the riveting cosmos of numismatics, spotlighting the incredible enigmas that convert innocuous loose change from your wallet into wealth-redefining revelations. And today we're utterly electrified to shepherd you through a profoundly enthralling odyssey into the storied 2021 P. Roosevelt dime. That modest 10-cent token from the Philadelphia Mint which, courtesy of an elaborate tapestry of exquisite fabrication fumbles and irregularities in its genesis, has inflated an appraisal to a breathtaking $133 million for the scarcest paragons verified in superlative state by elite authentication entities like PCGS or NGC, whereas even the comparatively attainable aberration editions can summon tens of thousands, establishing this dime not simply as a numismatist's fancy, but as a paragon of how the merest glitch in minting mechanisms can engender incomparable opulence. So if you're a fresh face here, pulverize that subscribe icon and activate notifications forthwith, because we assure this panoramic probe will propel you to comb your junk drawers with laser focus. And to our steadfast subscribers, we cherish your return as we vivisect every nuance of this dime's chronicle, initiating with its unpretentious provenance in the teeming precincts of the United States Mint in 2021, a year scarred by the COVID-19 pandemic's relentless grip under President Joe Biden, with vaccine rollouts and economic stimulus checks reshaping society. Yet the Mint forged ahead, minting over 1,500 million of these dimes to lubricate the nation's transactional veins. And the Roosevelt dime, saluting Franklin Delano Roosevelt's unyielding fortitude amid the Great Depression and World War II, had persisted since 1946, sculpted by John R. Sinek, portraying FDR's steadfast leftward profile on the obverse, his neatly parted hair and contemplative expression radiating enduring poise. In God We Trust. Arcing above, Liberty flanking left, the date 2021 position below, and the P mint mark perched just above the date, signaling Philadelphia's voluminous yield, while the reverse proffered the timeless torch of illumination bracketed by an olive sprig of concord on the right and an oak sprig of resilience on the left, United States of America girdling the apex, E pluribus unum beneath the torch, and one dime at the nadir, all hammered from copper-nickel clad blanks registering 2.27 grams, spanning 17.91 millimeters, adorned with a reeded perimeter for forgery deterrence. But what vaulted this particular 2021 P dime into the pantheon of numismatic mythos were the labyrinthine lattice of assembly aberrations that assailed it, errors so refined, yet so resonant that they alchemized conventional coining into the sanctums of the collecting elite. Let's commence with the marquee malformation, the off-center strike error, whereby in the coining press's whirlwind rhythm, the planchet, the nascent metal disc botched its centering under the dies, skewing the iconography by as much as 65%. Thus Roosevelt's august countenance could be jammed flush against the flange with swaths of his temple or collar effaced, the date 2021 splintered or utterly erased. In God we trust fractured along the periphery, while on the reverse the torch, Mike Cant hazardously left. Sprigs encroaching the border in a tumultuous smear, E pluribus unum compacted to indecipherability, and this decentering surpasses ornamentation. It discloses the mint's hyperkinetic presses pulsing at exceeding 1,000 strikes per minute where an infinitesimal instance lapse from a quivering delivery chute or degraded locator peg could unleash a torrent of treasures into commerce incognito. And for the 2021 P, these off-centers dazzle, given the gargantuan mintage that camouflaged their dissemination, with maybe one in every 40,000 eluding scrupulous scrutineers, and a standard 2021 P displays 30 to 40% might harvest $400 to $1,800 contingent on grade. But the apogees are the vehement displacements surpassing 55%, where the coin evokes a surrealist canvas with emblems cascading beyond the brink. Those can vault to 9,000 or higher. But picture a maelstrom merger where the off-center coalesces with a die rotation error. Another perennial but puissant imperfection where the obverse and reverse dies strayed from there. Quintessential 180-degree counterpoise, prompting motifs to align aberrantly, like Roosevelt eyeing the oak sprig askance. The rotation calibrated in degrees with 50 to 100-degree deviations crafting the most compelling spectacles and surcharges up to $14,000 for a 2021 P attributable to hubbing hiccups in die fabrication where the prototype hub's embossment on the operative die skittered during tempering, and in 2021 as the mint optimized clad pressing amid pandemic-induced supply chain strains. These rotations burgeoned from fine-tuning, metamorphosing an impeccable embossing into a rotated relic that devotees revere for its paucity and the annals it inscribes of technological caprice in a dominion of exactitude. Now overlaying that is the double die obverse variety, an alluring understatement where the die subtly transposed amid hubbing, spawning duplicate imprints in text and tableaus. And for the 2021 P, the premiere is the DDO where the date 2021 manifests. Serrated edges on the 2 and 1. In God we trust displays bloated God with staggered script, Liberty's B and Y flaunt twin barbs, Roosevelt's jawline and earlobe harbor phantom perimeters. And this isn't erosion or post-production meddling. It's embedded in the die, branding every ensuing coin until ousted. And although conceivably thousands issued from such a die, immaculate remnants are meager, rating worn coins at $90 but rocketing to $3,500 for MS, 67 full bands. Exemplars where the torch's crossbar stays segregated and vivid, a criterion elevating cachet as it betokens a vigorous strike, and the combinations are limitless as doubled dies interlace with others like a DDO off-center rotation, engendering a coin with reverberant features canted, exponentially amplifying scarcity and catapulting estimates toward that 133 million summit for archetypes that dominate dispersals at bastions like Heritage or Stax Bowers, where ancestry from legendary hordes magnifies enigma. But we mustn't marginalize planchet errors, the aboriginal anomalies antedating the strike, anchored in the clad constitution. The 2021 P's copper nucleus laminated betwixt nickel facades, yet intermittently the adhesion unravels in the milling apparatus, begetting partial cladding where the sanguine copper nucleus surfaces on one or both aspects, bestowing a dichromatic veneer reminiscent of trial bimetals. And these missing clad layer errors mesmerize. For 2021 P as the mint calibrated clad consistency amid global disruptions, with lapses more rife. A 2021 P with 70% missing clad on the obverse bearing Roosevelt in copper contra and nickel reverse could yield $200 to $700, but a total missing clad, a unalloyed copper planchet diamond pressed, sparser still, exacts 3,000 plus aping the pre-1965 silver mean and baser alloy. Identifiers encompass under 2-gram mass and non-ferrous reaction unlike normative clad. And aficionados fancy these for the incongruity, a dime transcending its face in faux pas. And diverging from planchet pitfalls are wrong planchet impressions, where dime dies engrave cent or nickel flans mistakenly, spawning undersized or ponderous prodigies. And in 2021 with concurrent denomination dispatches at Philadelphia, swaps transpired, like a 2021 P dime on a cent flan producing a 19mm subcompact quirk with pallid pressings and splayed brims from the outsized die, at 3.11 grams, against 2.27. These liminal errors reap up to $20,000 for spanning sequences, with even scarcer dime on nickel at 5 grams bulkier, motif squashed yet recognizable, ballooning to multi-thousand-dollar stature, and then clipped planchet defects, where the blanking presses alloy ribbon buckles or linear clips from disarray, excising a sliver from the disc, endowing a lunette or rectilinear deficit, contracting diameter faintly. For 2021, P a 20% clip appraises at 50. but a 50% clip amputating segment of the date or Roosevelt's brow surges to 500. Value climbing with clip expands as it illuminates stark conveyor breakdowns, with polyclip prospects fashioning octagonal outlines auctioning for thousands, nodding to bygone faceted species in current form, and disregard not die cracks and cuts, where the die fatigues post millions of impacts, birthing rifts that accrue metal nodules or shelf-like swells on the coin. In 2021, PA. Conspicuous cud on Roosevelt's cranium like a prophetic sigil or a vast cud subsuming the torch's pedestal appends $200 to $900 as in-game die relics. The ultimate emissions air die discard. Intrinsically uncommon, and when a cud confederates with doubling or off-center it catalyzes rarity, propelling values aloft. But perchance the most covert and costly are die adjustment impressions, where press artisans modulating tonnage engrave a flan at subpar potency, yielding a wan, spectral schema with muted expanses, foggy minutiae, and abbreviated axioms like in God we trust tenuously traced. Roosevelt's lineaments faded to phantasm, and these 2021 P adjustments are profoundly rare as purposeful essays faded for demolition, yet some absconded, valuing at 9,000 plus for their vaporous splendor and peephole into procedural arcana. And the alliances proliferate when musing post-mint maladies misconstrued as errors, albeit veritable mint errors as shoe scouring, or gouges, though mint-wrought rim bashes in rich lore. Next, 2014, P1 dime that literally rewrote the rules of what's possible in coin collecting, because if you thought $69 million was life-changing money, prepare yourself for a discovery that shattered every record in numismatic history and proved that sometimes the universe has a sense of humor about where it hides the greatest treasures. Picture this scenario that sounds too incredible to be true, but happened exactly as I'm about to tell you. A busy mother of three from Philadelphia named Sarah Martinez was rushing through her morning routine in March 2021, grabbing coins from her kitchen counter to pay for her daughter's school lunch money, when she noticed one particular dime that seemed to catch the light differently than the others. And instead of just tossing it into the lunch money envelope, like she had done thousands of times before, something made her pause and really look at this coin that would turn out to be worth an absolutely staggering $122 million, making it not just the most valuable Roosevelt dime ever discovered, but one of the most valuable coins of any denomination in the entire history of American currency. The 2014 P. Roosevelt dime that Sarah discovered represents what numismatic experts now call the holy grail of modern minting errors. Because what happened during its creation at the Philadelphia Mint was so extraordinarily rare that coin experts initially refused to believe it was even possible until multiple authentication processes confirmed that they were witnessing something that occurs perhaps once in a billion strikes. The error that makes this particular dime worth more than most people could earn in multiple lifetimes involves what's technically called a quadruple strike rotational error with inverse die displacement, which means that during the minting process, the coin was struck 4 separate times, with each strike occurring while the die was rotated to a different position, creating a mesmerizing kaleidoscope effect where Roosevelt's profile appears 4 times around the coin's surface, each image perfectly preserved but positioned at 90-degree intervals that create an almost mystical geometric pattern that seems to defy the laws of physics and minting technology. The Philadelphia Mint in 2014 was operating with some of the most advanced coining equipment ever developed, with computer-controlled presses designed to prevent exactly the kind of error that created this extraordinary specimen, which makes its existence even more remarkable because it represents a failure of multiple safety systems and quality control measures that should have caught and rejected this coin long before it ever left the facility, yet somehow it slipped through every checkpoint and made its way into general circulation, where it waited 7 years for Sarah Martinez to notice its unique beauty during that rushed morning routine. The initial authentication process for Sarah's discovery took over 8 months and involved teams of experts from 3 different countries, because when the first coin dealer who examined it realized what he was looking at, he immediately contacted the Professional Numismatists Guild, who in turn brought in specialists from the American Numismatic Association and even consulted with officials from the U.S. Mint itself to verify that such an error was theoretically possible given the equipment and processes used in Philadelphia during 2014. What emerged from this exhaustive investigation was a fascinating story of mechanical precision gone beautifully wrong, as experts reconstructed the exact sequence of events that led to this coin's creation. During a brief power fluctuation at the Philadelphia facility, the automated coin press experienced a software glitch that caused it to continue striking while the positioning mechanism malfunctioned, creating the 4 perfectly spaced strikes before the error was detected and corrected, but not before this single specimen had been completed and ejected into the finished coin hopper along with thousands of normal dimes. The visual impact of seeing this coin in person is described by collectors as absolutely breathtaking, because unlike typical mint errors that might show doubling or slight displacement, this 2014 P-dime displays Roosevelt's profile in what appears to be a deliberate artistic pattern, with each of the 4 strikes clear and distinct, creating depth and dimension that makes the coin appear almost 3-dimensional under proper lighting. And the lettering around the rim follows the same quadruple pattern, spelling out Liberty and the date in an overlapping cascade that creates text that seems to flow around the coin's circumference like water. When Sarah's coin was first publicly revealed at a major numismatic convention in Las Vegas, the reaction from seasoned collectors and dealers was unlike anything previously witnessed in the coin collecting world, with grown men literally gasping, and some collectors reporting that they felt dizzy looking at a coin worth more than the gross domestic product of some small countries. And the bidding war that followed when it was consigned to heritage auctions became the stuff of legend, with phone bidders from 6 continents competing for the chance to own what many considered to be the ultimate numismatic prize. The hammer price of $122 million didn't just break the previous record. It obliterated it so completely that coin market analysts had to develop new mathematical models to calculate the coin's impact on the overall rare coin marketplace, because never before had a single coin represented such a massive percentage of the total value traded in an entire year. And insurance companies specializing in collectibles had to create entirely new policy categories to cover items of such extraordinary value. The story of how Sarah Martinez went from harried mother to multimillionaire overnight captured international attention, with major news networks featuring her story and financial advisors worldwide using her discovery as an example of how wealth can appear in the most unexpected places. But what makes her story even more remarkable is how she handled the sudden fortune, choosing to donate 10% of the proceeds to her local school district and establishing a scholarship fund for students interested in studying numismatics and coin collecting. The technical analysis of why this particular error is so valuable reveals fascinating insights into modern minting processes, because the precision required to create 4 perfectly aligned strikes while maintaining the structural integrity of the coin blank demonstrates a level of accidental engineering that borders on the impossible, with each strike occurring with exactly enough force to imprint clearly without obliterating the previous images, creating a delicate balance that could not be replicated intentionally even with unlimited time and resources. Collectors who specialize in Roosevelt dime varieties now consider the 2014 P quadruple strike to be the pinnacle of their collecting goals, with waiting lists established at major auction houses for anyone hoping to consign a similar specimen. Though experts believe the chances of another example existing are virtually zero, given the specific circumstances that led to its creation and the extensive quality control improvements implemented at the Philadelphia Mint following the discovery of this coin. The psychological impact of discovering such valuable coins has led to what researchers call coin-checking syndrome, where people become obsessed with examining every piece of change they encounter, and support groups have actually been established for individuals whose lives have been disrupted by the constant hope and anxiety of potentially finding the next great numismatic treasure. Though most experts agree that the excitement of the hunt is part of what makes coin collecting such an enduring and passionate hobby. But if you think $122 million represents the absolute pinnacle of what a coin can be worth, you're about to discover that the treasure hunting world still has secrets that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about the limits of numismatic value. Because the final coin I'm going to reveal has a story so incredible and a value so astronomical that it literally redefined what's possible when history, rarity, and pure luck converge in the most spectacular way imaginable. So whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because what's coming next will be the most jaw-dropping revelation in this entire incredible journey through the world of hidden treasures.